Good morning, good morning, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending to where you are. Here is another Colorist Meetup. And to be honest, I have been waiting a long time, for this opportunity. I was really waiting a long time for the moment where I'm going to be able to tell you, hey, there is a HDR monitor that we can afford. And basically, the day has come, and I'm so happy that I can actually do this and I can do this presentation. And very shortly, we're going to go a little bit more into detail to how exactly this is going to happen. I want to say hi to Juan Celestino. Hello there. And Mihail from Prague is with us. Oh, my Marcello. Hello, Marcello. How is it going in Italy? I hear that New York had a massive snow last night. Hope, guys, you're all right. Everything is actually still under control. I remember, last year I was in New York around the same time, and the same thing happened. I literally got snowed under. We had to extend our stay for a few days, but I love it. I love when the snow falls in New York. So beautiful. Hey, little louder, you say? Okay, how is this? Better like this now. Can you hear me better? Just tell me if the sound is better like this. Hey, Rishi's here. Hello, and Rakesh and Alan. Hello, Alan and Rodrigo. Hello, and Sergey. Hello, Sergey. Good to see you again. Very good. Very good. Okay, so let me see. You said this has a little bit of a delay issues. My audio, it should be all good. No, it looks all good. So I'm afraid, this is the best I can do for the moment. I'm not able to make it any good. Anastasia's here. Very good, Anastasia. Good to see you. Yes, it's snow in New York. And Thomas, hey Thomas, we exchanged few messages on Facebook. Good to see you here. Very good. Hey Bob, and Darren is with us, our star YouTuber. Hello Darren, good to see you, man. Very good to see you. Fantastic, Vincenzo. My God, very good. I love it. I love it. All the kind of our famous crew. So look, I'm going to go straight in and tell you something. So I kind of testing monitors and developing monitors was something of a kind of my fun kind of exercise. I always love to do this. Actually, I have been doing this for Panasonic for almost 6 years. I was working, so the whole EZ series is something that I was working on from the very first model all the way to the last one when we got Stefan Sonnenfeld to grade it. So basically this was I was literally behind the scenes all this time working with them, so I have a lot of experience in looking at the monitor, testing monitor, figuring out what happens and so on. So just so you know, I'm not the hardcore kind of measurement guy, technology guy. I really analyze monitor by its looks, and I do it simply by looking at it next to my reference monitor. I have a certain set of footage as well that I have established at the moment that I test, that I know was showing me problems in the past on some other monitors, and then I use that basically to do it. And then also have footage that I know how it should look. I know basically I've been using it, like for example I have some material for Marco Polo, I have some material from some of the big movies I was working on that I know I shot immaculately, and I also expect exactly that immaculate quality on a monitor as well. So this is actually not the first time that I'm testing monitors, so just so you know. But also I wanted to let you know that last year and later on this year, I tested also monitors from Asus and Dell. And primarily because some of my colleagues have been complimentary about it, and they said, oh, this Asus is a kind of a good alternative. I got it in, I tested it, and I didn't think it was ready for professional use. I really find that these monitors are more for gamers, I would say. There's no professional features, and really the image quality and those things that we really needed were not there. So this is why I never bothered to make a monitor review for you to tell you, hey, this is it. But with Atomos is different. Atomos is different. This is a slightly different monitor, so it is more one that I would like to compare to Flanders monitors rather than any one of those. So if we're going to be doing any comparison today, it's going to be less about how it looks like against Apple XDR monitor or Asus monitor or Dell monitor, even though this is that price range. This monitor is more something you're going to compare to Flanders monitors, especially because they're used a lot on set in this size, and this monitor I would imagine is going to be doing the same. Oh my God, there's my New Zealand is here. Hello, hello, hello. Very good, guys. Hello, Christian from Netherlands. I just want to say basically hello. So I have also some great news for you guys that I have actually got Louis Brown from Atomos to join us today. I'm just going to quickly tell you what I was doing and how I was testing, and then we're going to go live to UK and we're going to talk to Louis, who's going to be able also to answer all your questions, because I'm pretty sure that there is more things you want to find out about this monitor, and Louis is the best person at Atomos to talk to. I've known Louis for almost 2 decades. And he's very, very knowledgeable. Louis actually comes from post-production world, so he will know your needs in a lot of detail. Yes, Rob, it's all coming. So let me just actually show you. So there's 2 monitors that I have been testing. One, actually, the first one I have opened and I loved it, and it's the 17-inch monitor. Okay, so the 17-inch monitor, you would think like, oh my God, this is small. But hey, actually, when I put it next to my like a MacBook Pro, it has this perfect size. So something that you can really carry around with you, put it on a desk in front of you, and like if you're DIT or somebody like that, you really can work and travel light. And for me as well, because I haven't got a big desk in my office, actually I could really consider that monitor. It's HD only, but interestingly, you won't really need a 4K unless, look, it's working for onset perfectly. I would say on set we monitor only HD, so you won't ever miss that 4K resolution necessary, I would imagine. It has a full, like I would say 98%, which kind of we call full, right? It's like everybody else, DCI-P3 gamut, so it works perfectly for that scenario. And it has a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio. It does 1000 nits by spec, but, so just to let you know, I have measured 1500 nits on those monitors. Even though their paper says, hey, this is a 1000 nit monitor, I was able to get significantly more. And actually difference between 1000 and 1500 nits is a significant difference, because of that logarithmic scale that we are measuring in. It has a full array local dimming of 200 zones. Now 200 zones is not a lot, but because the monitor is so small, a 17-inch size, it's very, very effective, because the area that is dimming is very small. So actually it really works pretty well. It has all the kind of Atom HDR kind of, color management that you used from their, like a smaller monitors, onset monitors that they were manufacturing so far. This is really what Atomos are. They are people who make this great recorders, but so that same functionality that you get in recorders is just attached to these monitors. You literally put a box at the back and the monitor becomes a recorder with all of that in. It supports hybrid log gamma. It supports HDR10, which is basically probably what we will be using. You can load a bunch of your LUTs into it. So, I've been personally just applying some, some sort of curves in it, not really doing a lot more than that. I really liked it. And it can still input 4K signal, but it will down convert, and it does both HDMI and 12G SDI. And what is really nice is that it has this kind of coating and anti-glare coating. So when people are standing around you, you can actually, you get a very little reflection. I really like that. So it's not like a glossy in comparison to Mac screens. It has this beautiful kind of matte finish. So yeah, I actually think it's a great little monitor, for field work and stuff like this. Less for post, I would imagine. And then comes this one, and I have really fallen in love with this monitor. This is the one. I have to say, especially, I mounted it in my studio on a magic arm, and I was able to really have it in a kind of distance of an arm and a half in front of me, and I was able to, this is because my LG monitor and the X300, they all a little bit further away from me, but this monitor I brought closer, I mounted it on the desk as if it's my GUI monitor, and I like it. I really like it. There is something about that monitor that just kind of, sometimes you just, you just look at it and you think this is a really good image. And, then I think, why is it good? And technically I try to understand, but I really trust my instincts first. I trust my eyes. I trust my kind of feeling is this a good picture quality? And when I switched it on, I felt, yes, this is the one. So basically, let me give you some of their specification. So basically, what it is, it's actually full. It's a 17 by 9. Okay, so you can do 4096 pixels, which is great. I thought, like, you know, when I'm doing scope jobs, right, I can have my full 4K scope on screen, pixel by pixel, and that's a plus. I mean, I remember, you know, guys, you know, like you kind of paid $35,000, you know, for a monitor that would give you that resolution in X300 and X310s, you know, so that to have it in that such a small package is a beautiful thing. Again, it's very good with DCI-P3, you know, that's perfect, 1:1 contrast ratio. It does, on the paper, 1,000 nits, but also I measured it around 1,500, maybe a little bit less, but it's very hard, you know, because the clipping, when it occurs in white, so you really have to kind of be very precise when you say it's 1,500 or not, but I would say, yeah, 1,500 is about right. It has a 600 zones, okay? Again, you would go like, well, hang on a moment, the X3000 has got 2,000 zones. But again, don't get caught too much in the numbers of zones, because think about it, 2,000 zones on 30-something inches and 600 zones on 24 inches. So the size of the zone, again, is slightly different. But also it is how these zones operate, you know, what's the logic behind them. And Atomos got it working well. You know, in comparison to Asus and Dell, the zoning is just completely different. You know, it's completely different. You have to understand those two monitors, and I said that this is the last time I'm going to compare those two just because of the price point, we're kind of mentioning them. But, you know, these monitors are made really for desktop to display different type of material. You know, this monitor is made to play video, to play motion picture, and, you know, the zoning is optimized for that. I can definitely tell, you know, because all of those issues, those very strong ghosting effects that we used to have in the past, they're all actually not really present there. You know, you really have to look for it, you know, if you want to find it. And you know what, most people will, you know, like, you just ignore it, you know, even if you know that it's there, it becomes part of it. And I have to say, I have seen very little ghosting effects on these, you know, if any. It does all the HLG, HDR10s, it does also 3D LUTs, you know. It has, again, 4K input. It does HDMI, it has an anti-glare, and here is another bonus. It actually can do Dolby Vision tunneling. And that's kind of something, guys, that, you know, it's a great news for us who have to master a lot for Dolby Vision. You know, we used to have, you know, special version of LG CX that would do that. You know, now, you know, you have a model that can do it. I didn't test the tunneling in specification. It says it does it, you know, but I can't wait to actually get a Dolby Vision mastering job so that I can actually try to work with it a little bit more. I really think this is an incredible, you know, an incredible feature. Also, what's very interesting, it reads HDMI metadata. So what you know, like in the past, you know, like I kind of, you know, always used to kind of activate my, you know, early, like you know, I first had the Panasonics and stuff like this, you know, and what I used to do is to activate HDR. I would send through HDMI a signal that would say, hey, go to HDMI. This monitor can do the same, and this is probably the best thing about this monitor. The viewing angle is 178 degrees. So basically you can move like in a really wide range, and the image is not going to change. Okay, and that is really the biggest problem to why I never switched to 310, you know, why I never went through this monitor. Because Sony has done a great job with that monitor, but the problem is the viewing angle is so narrow that you literally have to be glued in front of this monitor. Like if you move like a foot on the left, a foot on the right, you start seeing how the color is changing. And that always worried me, especially like imagine you're on set and you know your director is not standing exactly in front of the monitor. DP, you know, they always, you know, on set, I mean, you're not gonna go and position yourself in front of the monitor every time. And that was always something that was making me nervous. I really never liked it. With these monitors, it's slightly probably different technology how they do it, so that polarizing problem, it's not basically happening. Guys, I don't know exactly what's the viewing angle for 17-inch, but you know, we're gonna go and ask Louis in a minute all of those questions. So absolutely no problem. I'm seeing your chat, and I'm going to go, as soon as we switch to Louis, go a little bit through questions as well. Here is something very interesting. This is how it arrived. I love those YouTube unpacking videos, you know. I think I should make one about this monitor because it's a fantastic experience. You know, you get this kind of Peli case, you know, and it's like, you know, everything beautifully packed in it, you know. I don't know whether this is going to stay standard or just that they used, you know, for the kind of, you know, these first demo models. We'll ask Louis about it. I really felt like this is slick, man. This is beautiful, right? Look at it nicely, like all the accessories. You can assemble the legs or not. And, you know, monitor's got a screw, so you can put it on your cart. As I said, I put my mounted on a magic arm, so I didn't even use the legs to begin with. Really, really nice. And you know what? It comes with an added benefit that it can be a recorder. Not that I will use the recorder ever, you know, probably, maybe, you know, never say never. But, you know, like, it comes with it. You can use it. If you want to, you can just put an SSD in there and you can start recording from it as well. Maybe like for quick playouts or something like that. I'm not sure. And then, you know, here is this unit, you know, I think they call it something master control unit or something like that, you know, that you have to then put at the back. And I like it again, you see, this is like a modular. It's a little bit like, you know, Red camera, you know, it's all modular. You can kind of put this and then you put an SDI if you want and this and that. I really think, and you know what, it makes me excited for two reasons, because it just tells me, hey, this could be upgraded, or, you know, there could be a modularity feature where when I'm ordering monitor, I maybe want to have this feature, save some money, and not this feature. I'm not sure. I believe that this is the case. We're going to ask Louis about it, but I like it. I can tell that, you know, people who are building this monitor have been doing this for a while, and they do really understand, you know, that not everybody's got the same needs, and you know, that some customizing is necessary from case to case, and this little modularity is great. Again, something you don't get from people who just kind of have to make boxes of desktop monitors and ship them around the world. It's not really what these guys are doing. It looks great, guys, you know, when you put it on your desk, it just kind of feels like, okay, and you know, and it lit up straight away HDR. The way what you have to do first thing is then you have to download this application called Neon app. And the Neon app basically, and then I was like, oh my God, you have to now connect with Bluetooth. And I don't know why I have this kind of, I'm not lucky with Bluetooth sometimes, you know, sometimes you have like a speaker, Bluetooth speaker, and then you have to keep pressing button for it to activate and searching and connecting, and it's not connecting and this and that. You know, this kind of whole Bluetooth connection really made me nervous. I was like, you know, why Bluetooth? Do I really need it? Okay, I do right now, right? So I was like, but you know what? I just tapped twice and this window popped up. I opened it on my iPhone and straight away it was just connected. I was like, okay, that was surprisingly very easy, you know. Yeah, I was like, okay, it was a relief. I thought like, you know, this is not going to be a good beginning if I cannot connect, but no, it's a relief, you know. I actually spoke to Louis about it, and he's going to show us some things that I have planned for it, because, you know, I do hate to be in a situation when I'm depending on Bluetooth connection, and, you know, there needs to be some way that we can control it even if there is no Bluetooth or phone, and they are responding to that, he told me. So we'll see what he's going to say later in the chat. And then this app is actually beautiful because, you know, if anything, I think, you know, I would love to give one day award to Sony for making the most complicated menus on the planet. I mean, if there is ever going to be a award like that, hey, you know, who makes the hardest menus to understand, it will be Sony. And, you know, my monitors were Sony for like, you know, 2 decades. And, you know, when I saw this kind of, you know, graphical interface, I was like, I need to send it to some of these engineers at Sony I know, just to kind of, you know, give them an inspiration to how it can be done. It's actually very easy to understand what you need to do, and I see what was the attractiveness, why Atmos went for an app, because, you know, you really pack tons of good features in an app, and it's kind of very intuitive. I didn't have to read the manual. I didn't have to find the menu. I was just, you know, there. It's, you know, we all know how to operate apps. So I really, really, really love it, you know? Yeah. All right. In camera, Sony has, yeah, I totally get it, you know. In Sony camera, just even to change the Rex and output on your monitor is like 3 steps, you know. 3. I mean, it has to be 5 at least, you know. So anyway, so it's beautiful. So all you do now is you basically go into the app and you say in the settings, I'm going to, my source is going to be log, and then you select, you know, Rec 2100 PQ. I work, you know, in P3, really, like, you know, it's a habit that just got instilled with me with Netflix, and I like it, you know. As I said, like in my previous podcasts, you know, I wasn't a big fan of this whole P3 thing. I was thinking, if we have Rec 2020, why not use it? And then, you know, Chris Clark from Netflix was patient enough to explain to me why. And I really realized that it's actually better to work in P3. Even if we're going to be delivering Rec 2020, I get much better image consistency with P3. And then basically what I got then to monitor mode, and in monitor mode I just told it, hey, be log HDR, and I was running basically, guys, look at that, you know. And not just that, it looked like a beautiful, like, you know, with a kind of, you know, you have all these professional features you would want to have from a monitor, and I really, really like it. I have to say it passed my tests. It has a thumbs up from me. You know, it's ready to roll. And now I'm going to go and switch to London, or no, London, we're just outside of London, to the UK. And there is my friend, Lewis Brown. Lewis, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dado, but I was on mute. It wouldn't be a video.
Thank you, Louis. That's very kind. Oh my God, you know, Louis, we can.
How you doing?
Very good, Louis. So just before we start, Louis, and we go, I'm sure everybody's really excited to learn about the monitor, but I just have to indulge a little bit because, you know, we've known each other like many years, probably more than 20 years, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a long time, Dado. We've been building systems and workflows across all different types of technological innovation. You know, we were SD, HD, we were going HD cloud,
you actually
cloud-based workflows.
Totally. You sold me my first SDI card that was able to do HD. And then do you remember we used to use that Apple Cinema display before there was a Sony, you know, CRT HD monitor, or like, you know, I didn't want to buy first one, and I kind of said, let me just do like this HD first, and then when we saw it working, then we bought that. Then remember we built those RAIDs.
It was really the storage element as well. It's how, you know, we were talking about when people weren't really talking the language of codecs, right? They were talking about just HD or resolutions, and then we were having to go into camera models to be able to really get the kind of you know, the data rates that we wanted to build these systems for. And then we were doing a lot on stereo 3D as well. You know, we did a whole load of stuff there. And obviously, I was building Linux Resolve systems and Mac Resolve systems. We were doing big multi-GPU on Mac, you know, cubic chassis with, you know,
I remember. Yes, right. You built that system for me where I had like a 4 GPUs connected to the like aluminum crate. Yeah, I remember that. So and then, you know, and then the Linux, oh man, you know, so basically, let me tell you this, so we go a long way back, you know, so we've been doing a lot of, you know, crazy stuff, you know. I always tried to be one of the first ones to do it, and Louis was always happy to support my crazy, I want to be first to do it.
So the IT parts when, you know, they were, you know, we were putting them together, you know, very early on, when they weren't even called that.
So when you moved to Atomos, I was a little bit surprised. I thought like, but you know, now actually, you know, that I see what you guys are doing, you know, and how you are moving more into the post, you're not just a kind of, you know, on-set recorder, you know, I'm very, very excited. And you know, to be honest, Liz, I have to tell you this. I remember Cinegear, it is maybe 2019 or 18, I don't remember, when you guys showed Neon first. Yeah. I was like, this is going to be amazing. And then nothing happened. And then I was in New York and I was working with Andy, who's now at Ari. And Andy got some early prototypes of yours. And I remember we switched on that monitor and the fan wouldn't stop spinning from the fastest. I think there was some issue with firmware, whatever happened. And I was like, I just felt like, oh man, this is not ready. I mean, who's ever going to have a monitor with a fan like this? And I kind of did never really bother to test it after that. And I have to tell you that, you know, that delay you introduced, you know, from the moment you wanted to release these monitors to really when you're using them now was really good for you, Luis, because what you have here is a finished product. You know, it's a really, really well polished product that has a lot of details fixed that we really needed to be fixed. So, yeah. And by the way, I have a Darren Moistin saying hi to you.
Who does?
Darren, you know, from Brighton.
Oh yes, Darren Mustard. How are you, my friend?
Good. You know, you remember Darren? I mean, Darren was in that early crew as well. I remember Darren used.
Darren, you're on my list. I need to pull you up.
Yeah,
so,
totally, man.
So I think originally, when this product first came to market, it was more considered like more on the recording side, on the on-set recorder aspect, and I was really saying the part that's missing is the affordable HDR piece. And what we spent a lot of time doing is on the image integrity, on the quality, the fidelity, the accuracy, and the consistency. Because, you know, I've put I've looked at a lot of monitors in my time, put a lot into color grading suites, and, you know, that's where we focused our time. And it has taken a lot of time. You touched on it when you were introducing it about the backlight algorithm in the controls. And it's actually, we've actually got less zones than you mentioned. This one here is 512, and where is it? This one here is only 128, but we worked very hard on the zonal mapping and how we controlled that, because what you would have seen on that early monitor, on that early firmware version, was that fidelity wasn't there. So we spent a lot of time working on that and getting the maximum bright point of 1,000 nits, and that's full screen, right? Full screen 1,000 nits. And then what you were finding on your measuring is the peak HDR brightness is actually higher than that. You know, you said it was, you've measured it at 1,500. You know, we're still finiting what that will be, but it's 1,000 nits full screen, and it's a 0 nit black point. It's like 0.02, I think, in SDR, a little bit lower in the HDR mode. So what we're able to deliver is really good blacks, you know, a full wide color gamut and a full screen brightness, not just like a 10% patch or anything like that. I think, you know, our peak brightness, you could probably measure it on a 56% patch. So, you know, the monitor itself is put a lot of time into it. So that's why it's a little bit delayed. And we got it right.
Louis, it worked, you know, because as I said, like, you know, I had there was a hesitation in me when I said, okay, you know, I want to look at it, and then you know, I was so surprised how beautifully it went. Everything worked. Fan does spin up at the beginning when you power it up, like red camera, like goes like woo, and then it comes down. And now it's fine, you know. App worked from the first go, you know. I connected it. It looked perfect out of the box. I was like, okay, you know, this is just, you know, like I really, really felt like this is a professional monitor. I just want to kind of, before we kind of, you know, continue, I want to just, you know, get a couple of questions. Do you mind? Like, because people are really keen just to ask a couple of things. There is one thing that's, there is a James. He wanted to have your contacts, and maybe at the end we can, you know, share with people your, you know, email or contact like that. Basically, also Rakesh is asking any chance that he could get a review for Red Shark. Basically, so that's kind.
I did a PR preview on that with Simon, but yeah, we're just working at the. So the 17, let me get this right. Yeah, this ship, we've shipped the first production of these, and these are hitting customers now. And the 24, that's literally shipping in the next few days. So that'll be coming out for people to be able to get hold of. And you touched on the hard case, right? So we've got an initial promo on the first lot, where it comes in this HPRC hard case with the custom foam. And you know, so that, I think the you know, we wanted people to be able to have them and ship them around, and understand that early on within a monitor, a lot of people want to look at it, and they want to be able to test and make sure that their eyes, for what they're seeing, that they're happy with it. So, you know, shipping things around in a cardboard box is not that great. So, and also for remote workflows, we've seen a lot of people, you know, we're all at home. This is my kitchen. So,
I mean, it looked like some shop floor. I thought you're in your office. You did it really well, mate. Actually, now when you say it's kitchen, but the lighting is almost if you're on some shop floor. I thought, look at that. He's in his office, in his demo room.
It's important to be able to show them. Happy to go over
I love it. Louis, I have a couple of questions. I have a couple of questions, because the chat is going crazy. I just need to kind of keep up with it. So sorry, I need to ask a few more questions. So, of course, people ask about 31 inch. What's happening with that?
Well, 31, right. We're working on 31. You know, the 17 and the 24 were the ones that we were always releasing first of all. We actually said, and then the 31 was coming later. So we're still working on the 31. But what we feel is that the 31 is very much going to be more in the grade, right? More in a facility than moving around. These guys are probably going to move around a bit more, or be on a desktop, maybe in an edit environment or on set, whatever. But we feel, and this is kind of my perspective on where I've kind of taken this project, is that I think I see the 31 more in a fixed installation, in a suite. So I'm taking a little bit more time to work on those, on that side of things.
Okay, so there is no firm date at the moment, I can tell, but it's better.
No firm date, but I'm putting the same effort, and all the team behind us, the engineers have been working super hard on this as a project. It's been a super tough project, right? To be able to get this level of image quality and this, where it's a big difference for us on our products, but it's the background I'm from, you know, so I've been really pushing and driving on that front.
Okay, another question I have, and it's from Joe Diana, and I believe this is Joey from LiveCam again, you know. And if it is, I think it seems like him, because it's a very Joey does some great tutorials on LiveCam again. By the way, Joey, thank you for those. I love your stuff. You're like probably the most techiest stuff on LiveCam game, I think. He asked, does Atomos provide detail on how the backlight behaves with regard to small, high-nit peaks, motion, haloing, etc.? What does it prioritize? Are there any user-selectable backlight modes for different needs?
No. So there aren't any dynamic backlight controls that the user can access. You know, maybe this is something that we can develop, and we're all about taking feedback from users and what they want. But it's taken us such a long time to get control of this algorithm and deliver the picture that we can get out of it, that we haven't enabled any user accessible controls on there. But again, you know, feel free to get my details. And
I personally, you know what, you know, I let Joey to contact you, but you know, I personally think that I wouldn't want to fiddle around with it. I would rather want to say, hey, you know, let it work, and if it works, you know, I'm happy with it. I don't want to be like a monitor engineer.
Canon, you know, the Canon, I don't know the model number, but they're 2000 nit zoned backlit. I think they've got 3 settings on their monitor for kind of the zoned control. But that one is, I think, $30,000.
Okay. Another questions that we have here is 1 second. I just now got like a pop-up, and then it switched my screen, but I'm back here. Oh, are they all going to have recording enabled?
Yep. So this is the thing that I was talking about on the MCU on the back. So I have one here actually. Okay, right. So this is the MCU. This is kind of the modular brain that goes on the back of the unit. It provides you the base HDMI I/O, and there's the processing within here. So we can upgrade this as we go along. Now, the recording side of things, you know, I definitely get that in a post environment or a sensitive environment, you might not want recording. You might not want people to have access to capturing that content. So turning it off is something that we're looking at. Pin locking it, you know, locking it from the app, or locking it from the sysadmin. All of these things is what we're looking at. And I think the recording side is the kind of lesser functionality of this monitor, but there's things like, you know, I'm using it at the minute. If I want to do a quick render out, I just play it out. I don't have to export and render. I can capture directly into ProRes or DNX, and then I can send that file out without any render time on my laptop. Or I can, and there's other things that we're thinking about, different codecs that people might want to have on here, but they all have the recording capability built in. That's a functionality that we have in our system.
Yeah, I have to say that I thought, like, why do I need it? This is I don't really want it, and if I need to play out, my computer's fast enough to render. But you know what I discovered, what's really cool, is because you render it through your SDI pipeline, you have different color management settings. and that basically kind of gives you really the Rec 709 output that you're sending out, or whatever HA10 output that you're sending out. So you really get an identical copy of that. So if somebody else has got the same monitor like you can be 100% certain that they're going to see the same thing. I could maybe see that as a like an edge case scenario. But yeah. So look, I have a couple more questions. Rodrigo is asking, would you consider 24 for HDR grading work? Absolutely, Rodrigo. This is I hope going to become my kind of HDR grading monitor. Now the only thing I would love to know from Luis is, Luis, have you been speaking to Dolby to see if this monitor could be approved by Dolby to be used in their environment?
Well, we certainly are talking to them. As you touched on before, we have Dolby Vision tunneling on the HDMI output. So actually, after Christmas, maybe the ones that you've got, or maybe some of the other ones that I've got in the US, are going to Dolby for those guys to review it from their perspective, on how they're looking at it. It's there's a lot. I hear a lot of people talk about Dolby Vision mastering monitors, and that's there's some specifications there that would allow you to be classed as that, but you don't really get Dolby Vision as such on these screens, but as part of their pipeline, and they're saying, okay, this monitor, this is the expectation of how you can use it. So yeah, we are talking to them. As I say, we work with them on tunneling, and tunneling we're working on updating, because it's the tunneling that we implemented a few years ago. So it works with LG C8s, B8s, but there's been some changes in the new gens, so we're just having a look at that and doing some development on that. So what that allows you to do,
but it's works in progress. So I think.
Sorry, go on, Dylan.
And I think it's a work in progress, so it's not approved yet, guys, so just so you know, but based on specification, it could be approved or not, but even if it doesn't, I hope that you guys can figure things out and do this, because, really, Luis, I have to tell you, majority of mastering we do at the moment is for Dolby, and or using Dolby Vision. It is really going to become the mastering standard. So I think I would really put it high on your priority, to work with Dolby on this, so that we can actually get it listed as a monitor that we can use for mastering, which is then going to help us again, be easier approved for deliveries for all the other production companies, because it's much easier for us to point just on the Dolby website than convince production that we have a monitor that it's good, for the workflow, if you know what I mean. And if you need any connections, there, let me know. And also, I would love to give this monitor to maybe Chris Clark at Netflix to see what they say as well. They're always interested to see how they can help their productions. They're really, really behind people who are producing for Netflix, and this could be a great thing for them. So I'm super happy to do this. Now, the next thing, the biggest question, it's not just the once, I've seen it now 3 or 4 times pop up. Calibration, so right now I know what I can do is I can connect through this kind of expensive adapter cable, by the way. I can connect my i1 Display Pro, and then you calibrate it internally, using your thing. I showed it yesterday to a color scientist who work for really big companies, and they have said to me, well, we need a bias first. We need some manual settings first. What is happening with that? Where are you with on a manual calibration using Kalman, for example?
So calibration, we support the X-Rite i1 display and i1 Display Pro Plus, which goes up to 2000 nits. And we connect that, as you said, through our USB to serial connector to your computer, and then you can calibrate the screen from there. We run our own test patterns and everything through it. So we've been talking to Kalman, we've been talking to Light Illusion, again, we haven't built an SDK to integrate with those guys, but the conversations are open, and I know that's a big request, and likewise, bias controls, we don't have those built in right now, but this is all things that we are working on. But what I would say is that using our software and the i1 display allows you, it's a bit wizardy in terms of how it operates. You click it, connect it, it measures it, and it's uploading things in the background to control the monitor. but I think if you were to calibrate it with that and then measure it, you would see that, you know, we're delivering accuracy in there. I know people definitely want us to integrate with these partners, and there's still quite a lot of work to do that, but we are definitely got those channels of communications open and have done for quite some time. So
Very good, very good. So this is happening.
I know it's high on the list of everybody, and that's why you've had it flash up 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah, you know, people are like, oh, what the calibration? Because of course, you know, like it's not just about calibration that you can calibrate internally. Luis, we have a situation that we work in multi-monitor environment, you know, and I need to match it, you know, to my monitor, and then you know, how am I gonna, and you know, so it's really a lot of moving parts today when it comes to monitoring. So calibration is just about, hey, is my monitor accurate? No, is my monitor matching everybody else? You know, is my monitor really giving me maybe I need to change my calibration because I have some special issue, and these are all the requirements. That's a normal. It's kind of, you know, it's a day-to-day life, you know. Now, basically, somebody asked as well. James is asking, is this monitor going to have a live switching like you find in multi-camera live switching like you find in Shogun 7?
No, not on this monitor. This monitor is designed so these are really high fidelity panels. This is a true 10-bit. This is 8+2, and they're really designed for the monitoring world. A lot of the horsepower that we're using is for the image pipeline. So, and I don't think, because these monitors aren't touchscreen, it would be quite difficult doing it from an app. So no, it wouldn't be switching. Now, what you have is the ability to have 2 cameras in on the SDI, and you can toggle between camera A, camera B. You can't display them both at the same time, but you can have 2 in and switch between it. Likewise, if you're in playback mode, you actually have 3 outputs. You have 2 SDIs and 1 HDMI.
And Darren asked, hey, do they come pre-calibrated? Darren, absolutely. What I did is I put it up, and then I basically just do like a quick patch test where I have a sequence from Resolve, and then I measure manually output, and I just quickly checked, you know, whether my, you know, PQ curve is accurate. I just checked like you know, several primary colors to see if they are on target for P3. I didn't really run a full kind of set of patches, just kind of quickly manually. You can do that. It's absolutely fine. And just to kind of say, while internally you don't have all these tools to do it, you know, what you can do is actually you can load your LUTs, you know. So what you do is you basically let Atomos do their own calibration, and on top of that you try to apply any conversions that, you know, so potentially you could actually load viewing LUTs that could help you. Sure. For example, I always need to put, you know, JAD and VOS offset, you know, so, you know, and that's a pretty simple, you know, matrix, so I don't really need to even run a calibration. If I know that you've been doing D65, I just do a matrix from D65 to JAD and VOS as a lookup table, and I'm pretty close to my OLEDs like that. So, you know, there is a little bit hacking, you know, that you have to deploy right now. It's not like as we would want it, but, you know, I think it's possible. It's not actually, you know, like impossible to do it. Vincenzo is asking, what delta E can you achieve using internal software?
I would have to get back to you on that one in terms of I don't have it in front of me in terms of what we were achieving. But,
yeah, and then, you know, that's okay. And then what's happening now next is you know, a lot of people asking, you know, about, you know, the functionality. Luis, would you be able to show us, you know, how your control application works and all the extra features? Now, this is basically, guys, what I really wanted to show you. There is a major difference between a desktop display like Apple XDR and a display like this one, or, you know, Asus display and this one, or Dell display and this one. Because, you know, first you get like this first SDI, you get calibration, but you get all of these features that you need, you know, or, you know, you want, really, you don't need, but you really want your professional monitor to have. And I really would love if Luis could show us and just take us a little bit through to what everything this monitor can do. So Luis, I'm just gonna go and make you on full screen, and then if you could please take us a little bit through all the functionality.
Yeah, so I'll just show you what I've got on here. So this is just a camera pointing at the neon screen, and this is doing a log to HLG conversion, just to try to manage some of the output brightness. So here's me, that's the monitor. We're looking at the 24-inch, and this is the camera view of this. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to view to the GUI, and then in the top corner there, you can see I've got a picture-in-picture of the Neon. So within here, this is the kind of control functionality. And if any of you have used an Atomos device before, we have this kind of color pipeline management, which we call Atom HDR. And we call it that because it's our own processing of how we do. We define what the input gammas and gamuts are. And so for H, we have all of the different standards within here. So we've got log C, and you can select the gamut. So this is what kind of setting what your input gamma and gamut is. You know, quite similar to DaVinci color management. You're setting what's my input. Okay, so we are in. If I click this button here, this is to detect the. There we go. So that just read that this is receiving a PQ 2020 signal. So it used what's called the HDMI HDR info frame. If I turn that on, it's automatically going to set to it. Oh, here. And then we can come to the monitor mode. And this is where we can have our lookup tables. You can just load them into here from the SSD. You can have as many as you want on the SSD, or you can store up to 8 within the memory of the unit. In fact, I think I just missed out on here going over my input connections. Okay, well, it's because I'm actually in playback mode on this monitor. So what I'm just going to do is switch to record mode. So here you can see I'm playing the screen. These are my tools. So I'm just going to switch over from playback mode to record mode. And then this is taking an output from, I've got Final Cut open here. I've got Resolve in the background. And so I'm just going through a Thunderbolt IO box, and I'm connected to this screen via HDMI. So I can come into this input setting here, and then I have the different inputs that I can select. So HDMI, I can have SDI auto select, so it will detect which SDI is live, A, B, and dual link. So this is 2 12G connections. They can be used backwards compatible for 1.5 HDSDI, 3G, 6G, and they can also do dual link. So dual link 3G, dual link 6G. So if you're using an Alexa Mini or an Amira, you can actually take 4K 60 from those cameras that they can't do internally. So on here, again, I'm setting my input gamma and gamut. I am setting also my input range, whether I'm working in legal range or full range, or whether I'm going to apply, in some cases, a full to legal conversion. So for example, if your pipeline is outputting full, but you know you're delivering to legal, you have the ability to apply those there. Triggering, this is more for recording. So I'm just setting where I'm going to receive trigger from timecode, from HDMI or SDI. So you can actually set it to be triggering on timecode or SDI. Even if you've got a wireless transmitter, you know, some of those carry the timecode trigger over. Input mode, SDR or HDR. So what we're saying here is that SDR is going to be traditional 709, like a standard gamma curve, and then over here we're applying whatever we've set the project standard to. So if it's PQ or HLG, that's how the monitor is going to map accordingly. And then output, this is what's downstream. So you're able to apply a log to PQ or HLG or Dolby Vision output. So say we were working in a PQ project, we'd be monitoring in PQ, but we could do a loop out over HDMI to a Dolby Vision TV and send that frame by frame measured Dolby Vision. Things like 4K to HD down convert.
I mean, you said it. You said that last bit like so, like leisurely, like, you know, you don't know how. You're the only monitor on the market to do that. Do you understand this? You're the only.
I know. This is what the Dolby ECMU does. You know, there are other things, other applications that have them built in, but yeah, I don't want to say it. And I think why I'm saying it is, there is just some limitation on what we've got on Dolby Vision tunneling right now, and we do want to expand that. I just want to make sure people know that there's only a set few that it's qualified for right now, because we actually did it about 18 months, 2 years ago. And but now we have this monitor. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more people using that functionality than, say, on a Shogun or an Ninja.
Yeah, of course, because Dolby is more valuable for us in a post, even though like Dolby would love people to use it more on set. I get it, but totally listen, like in post, to have that ability, it's a bonus. I actually have been steering away from that, because it meant that I had to have another monitor. And the client would then look at another monitor and wonder, what is this monitor? And I would say, oh, it's a Dolby tunnel vision. And what is that then? Is this my? So it brought a confusion. So when you bring another monitor. But if I could basically, still do it for a QC purposes, that I just before I do, render out, I check my metadata through tunnel, and I think it's an added bonus that saves you several thousands of dollars. But I think you should emphasize that functionality. It's an important feature that nobody else has got.
Yep. And the output, so we can do a 4K to HD down convert. So if you're going downstream to a monitor that isn't 4K, we can do that. And we can also do a DCI to UHD crop. So if you're working in a 17:9, you can do crop to 16:9. So that's kind of like all of the input settings. But then what we also bring with us is a kind of tool set that's from our more on-set products, and it's things like, focus peaking, false color, that we tend to use for exposure, but we can actually use it in shot selects as well. You might think you have the right one, but actually applying an edges only on the focus peaking could really allow you to make sure that you actually have that shot exactly as you would like it. I'm not sure if you can see that in that top corner, and it's not coming out.
Show us the screen in full size. Your camera off the display, just to see what it looks like.
So you can see what I'm saying here is that we're able to just check shots so that they are the absolute ones that are in focus. Also things like false color. Turn this off here. So we can have false color, zebras, the kind of blue only for analyzing noise. And then we obviously have the ability to bring up scopes. So,
I love it, man. This is great.
From
and you know
from
what?
my computer.
Yeah,
but also that I've not got a camera here. If I go to this camera, this one, I've got a little loop deck device here. So this is actually, yeah. Yeah, so this is what's called.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I need to. Sorry, when I was talking, I was muting because I'm having a little echo. So then I had to mute myself. I forgot to unmute. I have to ask this question again. So please. So I was saying, like, I'm using Stream Deck to do the same thing that you're doing, to kind of mute to get some features going. But you also told me that you are making a hardware unit that is just plug and it works. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we took a lot of feedback from people, and we took a lot of flack actually about the app control, and as you alluded to before, we can build a lot in to a device people are used to working with. And in this pandemic scenario now, we have a touchscreen, not so great. To be able to do it from your own device, you could be distanced, you can be in control of what's going on. But the first step that we made was to move it to the Mac desktop. So this means when you're in your environment, you're not having to leave or get your phone out, or an iPod or an iPad. And so, but we took feedback early on that people wanted more on-screen tactile control. So we've been developing what we call the button bar, which is a remote control bar, which plugs in, connects hardwired via LANC, And this allows us to have control of all of the tools and functionality. So it allows us to record, playback, stop, scopes, focus assist, false color. So you can go and you can bring those up. What it won't allow you to change is the color management. And the reason of that is we didn't want people to accidentally change the color management and and somebody didn't know, so the color management will still be set by the DIT or by whoever is in control of the color pipeline on set, and they can set it. It can't be, but whoever wants to go to the monitor, play back a clip or put the scopes up can do that without any non-destructive elements to the imaging pipeline. So,
okay, I had a question from Rodrigo, and Rodrigo's asking about Windows, Android, and Rodrigo, you can't. This is so bad. I always get this problem. Easy working on Windows, and we say no. I mean, Louis, what's happening with Windows Android support?
What's happening with Windows, right? I'm from a traditionally Windows background, right? I've built PCs, run them with the sides off, overclocked them, but you know what? I've moved all to Mac because whilst, from a development perspective, there's a sandboxed environment with a known set of hardware that we can work to, and there's a known standard. Within Windows, there's so many variants of drivers, so many variants of hardware. So I'm not ruling it out 100%, right? It's something that we are looking on. It's like the app is also iOS only, it's not Android. I know 70% of the people have Android phones, but it's the same kind of situation. There's so much variation in hardware and OS version that the development time for everything is really, really tricky. And the QA is practically impossible. And we're a very small team, Atomos, across the business. Everybody works very hard and we generate a lot of good products, but we're working on it. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm not committing to it either. Because,
what you probably want to consider in that case, I'm not like saying anything, but I'm just want to give you as a consideration. You can partner with somebody who can develop an application for you and sell it for $1 or $2 or something like that. Like if you feel like that this is stopping you. It doesn't have to be official like your Atomos app. I know this is ideal scenario, but you see how Red did it with the what's it called, that control app. And then they kind of basically acquired the app and made it like work with their camera.
So let me. So the LANC connection, right? That's RS485. So there is a protocol in that, and when we develop the button bar, that would then be a protocol that we could make open for a wired connection. Bluetooth. The Bluetooth protocol that we work on is low energy Bluetooth. That's why you didn't have to go through a complicated pairing situation. You just went tap, tap, all right, it's connected. And so it is possible. It's not impossible to do at all. It's time, effort. So yeah, we're certainly open to talking to people about what they want. And there is an SDK because the communication is based on timecode systems, Bluetooth and RF technology that we acquired.
Yeah, totally. So buttons are must. People say, people who work on set, will tell you this, and I totally agree with them. You have to have a button on set, especially sometimes you're wearing a gloves, you can't even open it up, So, so let's basically kind of get it out of the way. There was a question from Darren, and Darren said, hey, it's all good HDR, but what about SDR? Darren? It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. In SDR, this monitor performs like a charm. Are you kidding me, man? This is like a panel you're gonna die for in SDR. There is absolutely,
We had a lot of people out there with it. So I'd seen it with a few people. So James Tompkins had it. I've had it with Brett Danton. And you know what James said? He said, I was finding stuff on production that I'd never seen, dead pixels on my camera, noise that I would have had to fix, but I could see it on set. So, and from an SDR perspective, and I'm not saying this myself, I'm talking for what people have said to me in their testing, they certainly have had, very pleasing results with it. It's good blacks, high bright. What I would say in SDR is it's pretty bright, right? So again, we can turn it down The minimum brightness at the minute is probably still about 400 nits. So something, again, I'm working on with the team is a defined, maybe we've got a 100 nit mode, maybe we've got a 48 nit projector mode. This is all feedback from people that we've been talking to, and we're taking that in from my experience or working in set. So there's, this is a brain here at the back, so we do FPGA driver in here, so we can do firmware updates. These are things that we can add. Also, as you said, this is a modular, maybe there's something we can do in the future, but also about this being modular, particularly if you're on set. If you were to break a connection, right, you can just swap this out. You don't have to decommission the entire monitor. The panel, there's nothing, so you can swap this out or this, and you can buy these as spares, depending on what you wanted to do, in that mission critical environment. Connectors break. Right?
No, but it's really well built. Like I have, it's not a flimsy.
You can't see here. This is like, it's got, I think it's got, what's it got across the top? It's got 3 down there, and it's got 6 mount points across the top and bottom, and 3 each side. And these are all ARRI anti-rotational 3/8 and 1/4 inserts. So it's pretty rugged. It's quite, this white guy I think is like 9 kilos, so it's pretty beefy. But
also, my friend Jasper from Holland, you might even know him. He worked with me like in a few jobs. Jasper is asking, consideration between 17 and 24 inch. The 24 inches being true 10-bit. Is this something that we should all take into account or not?
I think 10-bit FRC is what the majority of people are looking at, right? When you go to TV land, there's not really many 10-bit monitors. And what you can do with an FRC algorithm is pretty, it's pretty outstanding. If you were to look at these two side by side, you would, from your eye perspective watching, if you're super golden eyes, you could probably, but they stand out very well. Now, as Dada was saying, like this is my little setup here. Let's see if I can. I'll actually put a focus pull mark on my lens there. So this setup here, right? This is a 15-inch. I think it's a 2018 MacBook Pro. And this is the 17-inch. This is a fantastic little setup, and I'm actually using a $100 IO box on this. So I'm using the this guy. Not the recorder, but the same version of this. That is the monitor. So this is the Ultra Studio 3G mini monitor. So this is a $99 Thunderbolt 3 1080p 60 HDR IO box. Now, if anybody's bought, and I've sold a lot of IO cards and built a lot of systems, they were more than the price of one of these monitors at some stages. And so to have an HDR monitor and a laptop and an IO box at this kind of price point, which we've not really talked about yet.
Louis, before we talk about the price point, can I just say thank you for flashing Blackmagic product during Atomos presentation. I hope this is all going to help with the relationships.
I've built a lot of systems in my time, right? I'll just go over here. I've got a Linux, I've got a Revival dongle. I've got a Resolve dongle. And all my Resolve is still on dongle. That's how USB-A dongle. So, built a lot of, and, I won't go into it, but, they're both in the same city.
No, of course. I love it. Let's move on, everybody. Yeah, that's a good news. Now, let's talk about the price. We have just a little bit, time, before we finish. So let's just do that for everybody now. What do these monitors cost? How much money do we need to pay for them? Because we call this presentation monitors that you can afford. So tell us, how much money do we need to fork out for them?
Okay. The 17-inch, these $4,000. So it's 1,000 nits, wide color gamut, DCI P3 monitor, $4,000. And this guy over here, the 24-inch, is $6,499. So that's excluding tax, because depending where you are, I know we've got a few Euro people on here as well. So this one is 6,000 euro, and this one's a little bit less than 4,000 euro.
Unbelievable.
And they both of these guys come at the moment with the hard case. So the hard case for this one is about $300, and for this one it's about $500. So at the moment, for the first production lot, we've included that in there. So it's not necessarily something that everybody wants, and the next production lot won't have it. So if you don't want it, you can buy the next one. These are rolling out now. So this one you can find that's just coming into stock with people, and this one that's flying in should be landing anytime, probably over Christmas, but prior to the new year. So you can pre-order that one, but it is shipping. And this one, that should be available. Might be sold out. I've not looked at what people's stocks are.
When I was actually preparing this, Luis, I want to tell you something. I'm a big fan of Top Gear or what later became, whatever they called Grand Tour. And I never gonna forget one day they've been reviewing a car. I don't want to mention which brand, and they said this is an amazing car, but shame about the badge, right? Because what it is that Atomos at the moment is not perceived in post-production industry as a brand that you would see inside a studio. So that is the only problem here. That's the only problem. Everything technically, price-wise, this monitor is spot on. The only thing is that people don't expect that Atomos is making products for post-production. This is the only thing here. And I think that, guys, you probably will be the early adopters of that, and the proof is in the pudding, as I would say. You're gonna get this monitor, use it and like it and be happy with it, and that is basically gonna trickle down, and people will really start adopting the brand as Atomos and see that as something that could be part of the professional post-production environment. It's not going to happen overnight, but as I said, do not get scared that it doesn't have a Flanders or Sony badge on it or something, or Canon, whatever you were used to work on. This is technically sound product. It's well done. It is really competing on that level in terms of the feature, and it's actually bringing a big shakeup on the market in terms of the price as well. You're getting 24-inch HDR and amazing SDR monitor with features that we've never seen before for what, $6,500 US. Absolutely unbelievable. And you know what? I want to thank you for this. I think this is just fantastic news for everybody involved. We need it, and now that we all work from home, a 30-inch is great, but you know what? On my desk in my home office, it fits perfectly. The 24-inch is just about the size I really want to have on my desk, and you can mount it on a magic arm. And I actually think I have found a great solution to how I will be able to continue working in HDR without, struggling too much with space and everything else. What I really hope is two things: that you start working, that the Dolby kind of, approval really comes through, that, we do any tweaks, on firmware, that SDR goes to 100 nits and stuff like this. These are things that are happening, that you guys continue improving. That's really my hope that you use this as a great start to move into the professional post-production, because this is a very, very promising, what we're seeing. So on that note, I really want to thank you, Luis.
Hey, Dado, thanks for having me.
No, man, I anytime, as I said, I do want to support companies that are, making great things for the industry and for colorists. I want to give you all the support and help you, as much as I can. First, by giving you feedback, and helping you make your product better. And second, but letting people who need to know that there is a, product like this on the market. And basically, keep us posted with anything you coming and doing. I'll be happy to filter the news out and I wish you only the best luck with this product. You guys have definitely deserved it. This is, I can see there's tons of hours and development that went into it. It's really well thought. I love the details about it. As I said, I'm a big fan of it, and I really hope that, you know, everybody else catches up with this development.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for having me on, and everybody for their questions. Anything that you want to send directly to me, I'm happy to listen to you and talk to you and get that feedback. And also want to thank my engineering team for the effort and time they put into this and listening of how we needed to change it and what we needed to do. Because as you've said, that the proof is in the pudding. When you see this monitor in front of you, you actually go, that's really nice. And it's really hard in this environment where we are socially distanced to do that. So, our dealers, you know, our partners will have demo units, so you can reach out to those, because I will encourage people to actually see and look at the monitor, however way you can.
Great. Everybody's on chat saying thank you as well, Louis, for, you know, for coming on the show as well. And also they do want to have your contact details. So how will they contact you, Louis?
So you can just hit me up on my email. It's Lewis, Lewis, at atomos.com.
So this is Louis, Lewis, at atomos.com. You know, don't spam him too much, please. But do please get in touch with Louis. He's a great guy. You know, and as I said, like he's been my biggest support through all my, like, you know, endeavors and crazy projects I was doing. You know, like and sometimes.
Whenever you bring me up, I knew we had some excitement to work on. Right? I knew we were pushing the next boundary of what we were going to go to. You know, exciting times. And technology excites me. Working with creatives to enable them to be more creative and get over technology hurdles is, you know, that's.
And you're great at doing it, you know. I have to tell you, like, you know, I know that I can ring at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're gonna pick up that phone and say, first swear and then say, okay, let me see how I can help you. I do know that as well, you know. So I really, really appreciate it, and I hope, you know, we're gonna do many more exciting projects in the future as well. Louis, all the best. Have a great Christmas, you know, and, you know, speak to you again in the new year. And for everybody else, don't forget, on Tuesday, next Tuesday, 22nd, we're doing an event, the last event of this year. It's going to be a big one. 4 big announcements and prizes in value of $6,000 to be won. So don't miss it. It's going to be like our little Christmas kind of, you know, thing we're doing for you. You're going to like it. I can't say exactly what is going to happen. It's going to be 4 big news and $6,000 worth of prizes. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, and, you know, like if you're getting the letters and emails, like, perfect, guys, you know, just would love to see you all there. It's going to be a fantastic event next Tuesday at 11 Pacific time. Louis, have a great day, and guys, see you all soon. Bye, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye.